In this video, we're going to talk about the Chinese language, starting with the foundations of the language, the tones and the characters, and how the language is structured. So, like any language, there are individual components, the words, the way you say it, the written form, etc. Like in English, we have the letters and we spell the words. In Chinese, we have characters. The visual form is a character which represents something. There's often a lot of wisdom in these characters and the design of the characters. And then there's the pronunciation, the how you say the word. But the difference, one of the main big differences between the Chinese language and English or a lot of other languages is the use of what we call tones. So Chinese is a tonal language, and Mandarin, which is the Chinese that we use in REN, that is having 4 tones and a neutral tone. So let me explain a little bit about the tones. Let's use the word M-A, the pronunciation ma, as an example. The usual way of saying that letter, M-A, is ma. But there are also 4 other ways that you can say this. We have a high tone, the first tone. We have a rising tone, which is the second tone. We have a falling rising tone, or the third tone. And then we have a falling tone, or the fourth tone. What that looks like with the letters M-A, ma, is ma, first tone, ma, second tone, then the third tone, ma, down, up, and then the fourth tone, ma. Let's see, it goes a little bit sharper, down. So these tones are really interesting, and when you have the same sound but a different tone, it can refer to a different word. Of course, there are also words or characters that use the same tone, but then you'd look at the character to determine what we're talking about. So all you really need to know is that there are 4 different tones, and the way that this is put in English, in the way of writing the Chinese system, is called Pinyin. And Pinyin is the way that we write Chinese in letters. And the tone of the word, the character that we use, is often written in Pinyin. In Rensha we don't have those at the moment, but if we have a look at what each of the core words are, and I introduced you to the tones of the words and the characters, but just the tones, then hopefully you can remember those, and then when we say the words in the community, when we are teaching students and sharing what Rensha is, then it's very unified. Everybody is saying the same thing, and especially for other Chinese speaking people, they would really understand more what we're saying. So it makes me now remember a cool story that Yuanzi told many years ago about when he first came to New Zealand, and he wasn't sure exactly everything that the people were saying. He heard a lot of words, he didn't understand any English at the time, but there's one thing he heard, and he heard ma fin. And that means horse manure in Chinese, ma fin. And so eventually a plate came, and there was something on the plate in front of him, and it was the muffin. It sounded like ma fin, the Chinese word for horse manure. But this was something really delicious, really edible. So I just thought that's a little funny story to share that highlights how the tone in Chinese can really influence the meaning. So let's begin with the first two words that we learn in Ren Shi. What are they? Ren, Shi. That's the system. We have Ren, which is human, and Shi, which is study. So we can understand it as the science of human life, understanding of life, human life science. And of course there's a Ren Shi definition of what exactly Ren Shi is. What's really interesting about this character Ren is it's like a person standing. So a lot of Chinese characters, Chinese words are very pictorial. They convey some meaning. Often the message of what the word or the character is really about is in the picture, in the character itself. So, yeah. Ren Shi, it's not just Ren and Shi, but it's the rising tone, the second tone. So Ren Shi is the second tone, the rising tone. Ren, Shi, Ren, Shi. Say it with me. Ren, Shi, Ren, Shi. Nice. And then the next one we have is the subsystem of Yuan Gong, the first one that we are usually introduced to, and that's called Yuan Gong, Yuan Gong. So that Yuan is the second tone, the rising tone, and Gong is the first tone, the high tone. So we have Yuan Gong. Say it with me. Yuan Gong, Yuan Gong. And then we have the second subsystem of Ren Shi, which is Yuan Ming. Also second tone. Yuan Ming, Yuan Ming. And Ren Shi, Yuan Gong and Yuan Ming were created by Yuan Si. Yuan Si. So it's the second tone, Yuan, and third tone, Si. So down, up, Yuan Si. Now, whoever has special abilities that can see the parts that I'm editing out, hey, this is just reality. Gongjing. We'll get to that one another time. So, this has been a little introduction to the Chinese tones. All you really need to know is that there are 4 tones in Chinese and 1 neutral tone. And when we say the words in Ren Shi, it's just about learning how to say it and then hopefully remembering how to say it. And then when we share it with our fellow teachers, fellow students, and anyone we meet in the future, when we introduce to people, then it can just really help. Yeah, so I hope you found that interesting. I hope this has been interesting for you and helpful. See you in the next video. Hold up.